It is the Donno Drop here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. It is. Yeah, we're on a little bit early. I scheduled the start time for 3:05. Get it, the whole area code thing. But I get antsy. I was watching YouTube videos of game previews for Heat Knicks Game 2 tonight. I ran out of preview videos to watch. By the way, I highly recommend the material that comes out on this very network, 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ethan Skolnick, 5 on the Floor. Everybody. Awesome job all around. Be sure to smash that like button. You're in here, whether you're watching us live at 2:57 p.m. on this second day of May, year of our Lord 2023, or if you're watching this back via replay, smash that like button and make sure to subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports YouTube. We are brought to you today by Better Edge, by Prize Picks, and we're also brought to you by the awesome folks at U Break Wheel Fix. We'll talk about all of them. I think it's fitting that, based on the way our local teams both got into the playoffs, talking about the Panthers and Heat, both got into the playoffs via 8 seeds, despite the fact that they both knocked off Goliaths in the opening round, especially in the case of the Florida Panthers. I mean, you went up in the first round, 8 versus the 1, against literally the best regular season team ever, if you go by the points and statistics. That's what the Boston Bruins were. And the Florida Panthers, not only did they knock them off, unlike when the 8 seed Columbus Blue Jackets about 5 years ago, knocked off the number 1 seed Tampa Bay Lightning, they swept them, which was crazy impressive. Sergei Bobrovsky was in net for that. But since they swept them, they just humiliated them. There was no adversity factor there for Columbus in that series against Tampa Bay, where for the Panthers, they were down 3-1 in the series. I thought their goose was completely cooked, okay? And now they've got the media darling Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round, which is opening up tonight at 7. And, of course, the Panthers are underdogs tonight. That's just the way it's been. That's the way it's always going to be for this team. And the Miami Heat, yeah, they're dogs tonight as well for the against the New York Knickerbockers in Game 2, despite the fact that the Heat won Game 1. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's ankle, that's something we're going to be watching and monitoring over the next few hours. It's not like the Knicks don't have issues of their own, mostly ankles out there. Jalen Brunson dealing with that. They've been dealing with those injury issues. They had him in Game 1 as well. And the Heat are 6-point underdogs tonight. Julius Randle, by the way, the other name. I don't know why it slipped my mind for a second. But the Heat are 6-point dogs tonight. And I was on the sports book a couple of hours ago, and I'm looking at the number, and I'm like, I want to show my guts, and I want to put a wager on the Miami Heat tonight. And then I realized I'm not going to go Heat +6. I'm going to go Heat money line at either +205 or +210. So the Heat are going to pull it off. They're going to win Game 2. I'm going to more than double my money here tonight, courtesy of Better Edge, and it's going to be fantastic, all right? Now, as far as the question about Jimmy, it's 3 o'clock right now. That's looking like it's going to be a game-time decision tonight, which is typical Miami Heat, typical Jimmy. I mean, this is not our first rodeo. You watch the Heat all regular season long. You followed Jimmy's career in Miami. He's been a game-time decision many times before. Eric Spoelstra emphasized it, and I believe him when he says it. This isn't gamesmanship. He's not trying to confuse Tom Thibodeau or make the Knicks wonder, is he going to play, is he not going to play? Like, this is legitimate. Jimmy did go through shoot-around today, and they're going to make the decision during warm-ups or around that time, game-time decision, whether Butler is going to go tonight. He had 25 and 11 in Game 1 before rolling his ankle with, what was it, about 5.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. And then he basically just stayed out there as kind of a stationary target and kind of a Willis Reed motivator. Like, he motivated the entire team to be better by being out on the floor and toughing it out, which was awesome. Multiple reasons why I expect Jimmy is going to go tonight. First of all, way too important not to, unless the ankle is worse than we think it is. Spo basically hinted that, the ankle, it's not as bad as what it looked like, because when he rolled it up, it looked bad. It looked like, oh, this guy's going to miss some time. This is a catastrophe. What's going on? I don't think that I don't even know if you call it a sprain. The twisted ankle, the rolled ankle is not as severe as we thought it to be. This is way too important of a game. Last couple days, there have been debates out there. I've had this debate with a couple of friends of mine. If the Heat should be conservative with Jimmy, sit him tonight. You've got sort of the game in hand, right? Having won the first game on the road. So you've already taken back home court advantage. You be conservative. You sit Jimmy tonight, and then he's got 6 days rest before game number 3, which is not till Saturday at the K Center in Miami. And so kind of, not to say the Heat can't win tonight without Jimmy, but of course it severely hinders their chances of winning if Jimmy doesn't play. So people have been suggesting you kind of forfeit tonight's game by sitting Jimmy and making sure he's completely rested for Saturday. I don't subscribe to that theory unless the ankle is legitimately bad. I think as long as Jimmy decides he can go and he gets cleared by the team medical staff, I don't think you pull that chess move. I don't think you pull that chess move tonight where you're like, well, we're already kind of playing with house money because we won game 1. We're willing to lose game 2 if that's what it takes. Unless Jimmy is either simply not cleared to play or doesn't think he can play, or if the medical staff does decide that if Jimmy plays tonight, he's not going to be anywhere close to himself, but more importantly, if he's risking further injury or worsening the current injury, if he plays on it, if those factors come into play, then I could understand it. Then I could understand saying, okay, Jimmy's not going to go tonight, and we've got several nights off. He's got several nights off before Saturday, so we're going to play it that way. But if he's cleared and if he wants to play, even if Jimmy is, I doubt he's going to be 100% tonight, no matter what. But if he's 70, 75%, I think you play him. And then he still has, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night to rest up before you play game 3 in South Florida. So unless it's more severe than we think it is, I think it's actually less severe than we thought it was initially. I think you have to play Jimmy. I'm not going to roll the dice and sit him. And yes, I was going to get to this. Jumbo Jimbo, you and I are on the same page, my friend. This was the other factor for me. Beyond the medical staff, you hit the nail on the head, sir. He was walking around New York like he had no issue. I think he's playing. Yeah, because think about it. So Jimmy, he's on camera. He's all over the news. He's all over social media. He's got his fanny pack on. He's out shopping on Fifth Avenue. He's walking around pretty well along those streets of New York. I'm not saying Jimmy cares about optics because I don't think he really cares what we think, but I highly doubt if it was a severe enough injury that he's not going to be able to go in game 2, that he'd be walking around Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue and whatever in New York City, shopping around, living it up if the ankle was too severe to play. Because you're right, it didn't look that way. So I think Butler's going to go tonight. And as we've seen repeatedly throughout this postseason and throughout previous postseasons, Jimmy in the playoffs is a different animal, different freaking animal. I don't know exactly what. I know the average coming out of the Milwaukee series was 37 points per game. He had 25 in game 1, so obviously that average went a little bit down from 37. But Jimmy in the playoffs is about 10 points better than Jimmy in the regular season. It's a completely different animal. He doesn't take the regular season at his age as seriously as he used to. I think he saves up a lot of this for the postseason, and he's just a different kind of beast. So that's another reason why when I was looking at the odds today and I saw, okay, I'm definitely betting on the Heat tonight because they've been underdogs in, gotta say, every game of the postseason so far. They've been underdogs. I mean, 5 games against Milwaukee, 2 games now we've had odds on against New York. This will be the 7th straight time that the Heat are dogs heading into a game. And if you've been betting on the Heat, whether it's against the spread or the money line, you're swimming in money right now. Like, if you've been betting the Heat against the spread so far in the playoffs, you're like counting your money in a giant duffel bag right now. If you're betting Heat on the money line to win all these games, you are listening to us or watching us from your yacht right now. That's how well you're doing on the Heat. So I knew going in, I'm definitely going to bet the Heat. Let me see what the spread is, +6. I said, you know what? I got more guts than that. I've got more guts than Heat +6. They're taking the 2-0 freaking lead tonight. So I bet the Heat on the money line at +205. That's where we are. Yeah, for sure. If he was more injured, he would be at the hotel and the spa getting work. That's right. That's right. If he was so injured, Butler, I think they're staying at a Four Seasons out there in NYC. He'd be more than happy to be sitting in the hot tub or the cold tub or taking an ice bath or getting rubbed down at the spa at the hotel. He's not walking around Fifth Avenue with the fanny pack on if he's not doing well. Guitar playing Ken. I guess this is a guy who loves strumming on that sixth string. He says, if Randall isn't playing, would you still play Jimmy? I don't think it's necessary. That's a good call. Because like you may not know the status of each of them until it's too late to play it based on who's in and who's out. Because New York is probably looking at it the same way, right? They're probably saying, well, if Jimmy goes, we really need to play Randall. Maybe he doesn't. We don't have to as much. And then that works the other way as well. I don't know. And that's where, and again, I know Spo said it's not gamesmanship. They're legitimately trying to decide if Jimmy can go or he can't go. But that's kind of where the gamesmanship does come to play. So I think that's a good thing. And like Jumbo points out, Miami Heat fans already learned this lesson from seeing the flip side of it, right? The Milwaukee Bucks, they benched Giannis when they probably didn't have to try to get him healthy, thinking they were going to be fine in the series. And then the Heat were able to take advantage of that. He says, we need to step on their throats. Bros, if you can take a 2-0 lead tonight, I never party prematurely, but because obviously, series isn't over until you win both games. Jeez, hold on. My wife, does my wife not know I'm on live right now? She keeps texting me. She wants to see what time to pick up our kid from school. I usually pick up my son on this day, but she's picking him up from after school care. But man, I'm not going to celebrate prematurely, but if the Heat can take that 2-0 lead at the Garden, at the Mecca, bro, I cannot wait to see all my New Yorker friends. I can't wait to see their demeanor. I can't wait to see the look on their faces. I can't wait to see the pissed off content that they put out, right? I want to see like the annoying Knicks fans that are all over ESPN. I want to see the annoying Knicks fans all over WFAN and all over YouTube and how pissed they are. And, they're not going to be sad about it, but they're going to be ripping Thibodeau, and they're going to be, ripping, whoever's not healthy enough to play tonight. If anybody sits on the Knicks side, if Randall or Brunson doesn't play, they're going to be ripping some of these guys. Oh, they're soft, bro. Why aren't they suiting up? This is the playoffs. By the way, speaking of ESPN, I heard an incredible stat this morning. And, you take this with a grain of salt because every series is different. Every team is different. But you got to love this. In the history of the New York Knicks franchise, they have never won a playoff series after losing the first game of that series at home. Never. They're 0-7 in those situations. 7 times the New York Knicks have hosted a playoff game one, and when they lost those game won 7 times, they've never come back to win a series after that. So history is in the Miami Heat's favor. And, obviously, if they've never come back down 0-1, losing the first game at home, they've never done it going down 0-2. And then you can look at the statistics. I got to think that if a team loses the first 2 games of a series, especially at home, then what are your odds of coming back to win the series? Like 6%, 8%, less than that? It's got to be insane. So, yeah, I can't wait to see the looks on the Knicks fans' faces if they go down 0-2 tonight. This is the one I want to see. I want to see Stephen A. miserable. I love it. Oh, no, I didn't know who was officiating the game. We got Scott Foster tonight. The Heat are 0-5 under his officiating in the playoffs. Oh, no. Oh, no. He's going to make sure they get those calls late. I mean, I don't know how much Scott Foster can help their 3-point shooting, because that was an area that they lacked in the first game. Maybe he'll just call some fake fouls when they're trying 3-pointers to get them to the line for 3 free throws, because the Knicks only made 7 3-pointers in game 1. The Heat made 13. You know what I'm going to be looking for tonight, whether Jimmy plays or doesn't play? Can we get more of those sick outlet passes from Kevin Love? Nothing makes me happier than seeing the moments when Kevin Love justifies his existence, right? Like because when that deal happened, when that acquisition happened after the buyout, everyone's all, not everyone, but a lot of us, myself included, were like really excited. Like, hey, I know he's not a spring chicken anymore, but it's kind of cool having Kevin Love on the Heat. And then he went through some pretty tough moments on this roster, and the Heat didn't climb up the playoff standings. They almost missed the playoffs. And then a lot of people are like, oh, what a wasted move. Why did we acquire Kevin Love? This is a waste of time. What is Riley doing? And then you see him create moments like those full court passes that are perfectly on point. And you say, yes, that's why we got this guy. That's why we got K Love in a Heat uniform. Didn't help a whole lot in the regular season. He's helping in the playoffs. Kyle Lowry never helps in the regular season. He's been helping in the playoffs. And, I don't have to remind you that there's really an all-hands-on-deck approach for the Heat, because even if Butler does play tonight, and if he looks close to his usual self or his playoff self, which is just a monster, you still don't have Tyler Hero, who's a starter when he's healthy. He's not going to be healthy until the finals, and the Heat are getting to those finals, by the way. And you don't have Victor Oladipo, who is becoming a pretty important rotational piece. So you're still playing shorthanded with or without Jimmy here tonight. And on that Scott Foster officiating, get ready for a free throw discrepancy of 14 to 40 plus. Is that how it's going to be? Oh, I like this, Gabe. We are due for a Max Strus monster game. You got that feeling, right? Where it's like when you start to count out Duncan, he has a monster game. When you start to count out Strus, who, plays more regularly than Duncan, he'll have that monster game when you least expect it. That would be an awesome moment. Do we have the paternity test to confirm this? Stephen A is RJ Barrett's dad. Am I wrong on? I know that Jerry Springer died recently, which is very sad. Rest in peace. I love Jerry. Did Maury also die like within the last couple of years? Because he was the other daytime host. He used to do all the paternity tests where he's like, you are not the father. Is he still with us, or did he die? I feel like he might have passed on as well. Apologies if he's still with us. But that made me think of it, because since we lost Jerry Springer this week, it kind of made me think, I think we may have also lost Maury not too long ago. But yeah. Rest in peace, Jerry Springer. Wasn't that dude also? I did not follow his political exploits, but wasn't he also mayor of Cincinnati? I think he was also in politics, which is kind of crazy. Oh, apologies to the Maury family. He's still here. All right. You are alive. So there you go. You know who is also still with us? Actually, they're back with us because they recently returned to the 5 Reasons Sports family. You Break Wheel Fix. Welcome back to our friends and sponsor extraordinaire. You Break Wheel Fix, the complete automotive wheel solution. If you ever park too close to the sidewalk curb, you can mess up your wheels. I've done that. You Break Wheel Fix specializes in the repair of damaged wheels from bends, cracks, curb rash. Are your wheels faded or peeling? They can help. You don't need to replace them. You Break Wheel Fix can refinish them to like new, offering complete refinish options through powder coating, matching, and polishing. You Break Wheel Fix is the answer to all of your wheel needs. And if you're just looking to give your ride a new look, You Break Wheel Fix also offers many car customizing options, such as new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands, performance upgrades, window tinting, not tilting. Imagine tilting your windows, window tinting, and suspension modifications. And by the way, folks, they can trick out your wheels. Miami Heat colors, Vice colors, Dolphins colors, Hurricanes colors. Really awesome. They are located just south of Aventura. You can reach Mark and his staff at 305 748-0112 or online at youbreakwheelfix.com. They're really active on all social media platforms at youbreakwheelfix. So shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter to get an estimate in just minutes. We are also brought to you by Prize Picks. And I locked in a Prize Picks selection combining Heat, Knicks, and Panthers tonight. Panthers, Toronto, game 1. The only thing that annoyed me, and this is not a knock on Prize Picks, because this is just, I'm sure that the policy when you don't know if a player is going to play or not. They didn't have I don't know, maybe they've updated it, but they did not have any projection for Jimmy because we're just not sure. I think he's going to play, but technically we're not sure if Jimmy's going to play tonight, because I really wanted to lock in a Jimmy over, because I'm like, playoff Jimmy, whatever his number is, add about 12 points to that, and that's the real number. But I didn't see anything for Jimmy, so I couldn't lock it in. So here's what I locked in for my 3-pick selection on prizepicks.com. You can also use the Prize Picks mobile app, which is what I'm on right now. I lock now, I hate to go with a Knicks over, but since they had a discount on Jalen Brunson for Taco Tuesday, I did lock in a Jalen Brunson over. So I've got Jalen Brunson more than 20.5 points tonight, because I think his regular number was 24.5 and they discounted it for Taco Tuesday. So I locked in the over on Brunson. Now, if the Heat can hold him to like 12 points and beat the Knicks by 40, I will happily take the Prize Picks L for that. But I did lock in the Jalen Brunson more than 20.5 points. I locked in Bam Adebayo more than 17.5 points. Come on, Bam, let's do this. And I crossed my selection with the Panthers Maple Leafs game, because, guys, when you select players on Prize Picks, you can go cross sport with this. You can have 2 basketball players, a hockey player, 2 basketball players, 3 hockey players, whatever. So the third part of my selection is Matthew Tkachuk more than 4 shots on goal. We'll probably have that midway through the second period, right? So I got Tkachuk more than 4 shots on goal, Jalen Brunson more than 20.5 points, and Bam Adebayo more than 17.5 points. Now, if Jimmy doesn't play, God forbid, you would hope and probably expect that means the scoring load for Bam would go up. So if perchance Jimmy doesn't play tonight, I'm going to be feeling extra good about Adebayo over 17.5 points. I would not feel nearly as good about my separate wager of the Heat money line, but I would feel good about Bam going over 17.5 points. I love this from Alan. He says, how brilliant was Spo throwing the Atlanta game? He knew Spo. And I joked about that when it happened. Nobody thought it was funny the day after that Atlanta game, because that was embarrassing. But I joked about that. I said, hey, the Heat clearly know something we don't know, and they want the Bucks in the first round. They don't want Boston. They want the Bucks in the first round. So they knew exactly what they were doing, throwing that Atlanta game. They also wanted to extend the career of Udonis Haslem by an extra game. And hey, purpose or not, he knew, Jumbo says. He knew, and he locked it in. By the way, last thing on Prize Picks. When you sign up at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app, use our code 5. Spell it out, F-I-V-E, because when you use our code 5 when you sign up, they're going to double your first deposit up to $100. So you deposit $100, they give you $100 of free play money on top of that. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy made easy. And if you're looking to bet the game straight up, you can do it completely legally, by the way, in Florida at betteredge.com. Better Edge combines sports betting with a social platform. So you're not betting against the house, you're betting against other people. That's how they're able to keep it legal. It's really a brilliant life hack if you think about it. And also, since you're not going up against the house, there's no hidden fees, there's no VIG, right? You're not betting like minus 110 to get the Heat at +6. You're just going straight up, and you can actually find the numbers you want against other people. So to try it, betteredge.com with our code 5RSN. They're going to give you a $20 bonus just for signing up. betteredge.com with the code 5RSN, completely legal in, I want to say 44, 45 states, including Florida. So completely legal in Florida, if that's where you guys are. Let's see. Who wants to face Boston, then Philly, then the Bucks? Even if you survive, you'd be spent. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a tough road no matter what. I mean, I know that the Heat do have the 1-0 edge against the Knicks. The Knicks are not not a picnic either. When you're the 8 seed or the 7 seed, you're swimming uphill or uphill. You're swimming upstream like a salmon. That's what you're doing. You're swimming upstream constantly. But listen, I think it's also kind of cool though, because after just having knocked off the best record-wise team in the NBA and the best team in the Eastern Conference, that takes a little pressure off for the next part of the road, right? If you're the Heat, it's like, we already beat the best team. So are we the best team now in the East? Because we just knocked off the number 1 seed in the entire NBA. We just beat these guys in 5 games. To me, you were going to face the Bucks probably at some point anyway. You might as well get them in the first round and knock them out. So I thought that worked out pretty well. I have not, outside of my Matthew Tkachuk prize pick selection of over 4 shots on goal, I haven't made a pick or a bet on the Florida Panthers game just yet. That's going to be starting, guys, at 7:00. So I'm glad the Heat game is not one of those awful late games like the 9:30 starts. I'm getting way too old for that. They had a couple of those against Milwaukee. I'm glad the Heat game is a 7:30 game. But I wish the NHL and the NBA could have found a way to coordinate and not had the Panthers and the Heat on the same night. It's a 2-screen experience tonight, folks. I hope you've got, 2 TVs in the living room, or you've got a tablet or a computer or a phone you can watch a second game on, because we're going to have the Heat game, Heat Knicks game 2 starting at 7:30. But the appetizer is going to be Panthers Maple Leafs game 1 starting at 7:00. It's really going to be about a 7:08 face-off, in the Heat game probably around a 7:35 start time on TNT. And it's going to, like, our houses are all going to be like sports bars tonight. And yeah, this is so good, Jumbo. He says, with the Panthers and Heat series, it felt like David I don't know if he meant to say David. He said Dade versus Goliath. Well, the Heat series was Dade versus Goliath. The Panther series was Broward versus Goliath. But in both cases, right? I thought both teams were in huge trouble. I kept preaching about how important it was for the Panthers. In the last couple of games of the regular season, you can't be the 8 seed. You've got to find a way to lock in the 7. You've got to, because you want to avoid Boston. Instead, I said the same thing about the Heat. The Florida Panthers take a little pressure off. They knock out the best team in the league in the opening series, 137 points. Gabe says, I don't understand why Knicks fans say it's difficult to play at Madison Square Garden. I think certain players thrive at the Mecca. It is very loud there. If the Knicks had been better for the last 25 years, it probably would be a harder place to play. But think about this. Over the last, 23, 24 years, a lot of teams in the playoffs have gone on the road in the Mecca and done fine, right? I mean, how many playoff series have these guys won in the last 20 years? Like 1, 2, I guess, because you include this year. They did have to win a series, or no, it was at at this point, the Knicks have been failures in the playoffs for so long. I can't even remember how many playoff series, if it's 1 or 2 that they've won, like in the last 20 years. It's just been a horror show for them. So, but he's right. I mean, you remember Dwayne Wade loved going to MSG, putting on a show. LeBron loves going to the Garden and putting on a show. And, didn't have his best game and he rolled his ankle, but Jimmy did all right at the Garden, at the Mecca the other night. Home court disadvantage. I think the Knicks front office has been the home court disadvantage under James Dolan. I think that's been the primary issue for them. I will say before I run here that, we usually, a lot of times when I come to you on this channel on 5 Reasons Sports, we're doing the extra yard. But, since there's not nearly as much going on with the Dolphins, if I can point to the right corner, not nearly as much going on with the Dolphins as there is with the Miami Heat specifically, and the Florida Panthers. We didn't. I let Troy Stradford rest today. I will say that with the Dolphins having made those 4 draft picks Friday and Saturday, I really like the Devon Achane pickup in the 3rd round, the Texas A&M running back, who's now going to be wearing a Dolphins uniform. Do not sleep on that pick. Fast, lightning fast, elusive, hard to tackle. Miami Dolphins offense, they got more dynamic, right? You already had a ton of speed when you think about Cheetah, Waddle, Mostert, and now you can throw A-Chain into that mix. You get him in space out of the backfield. You line him up in the slot. You let him return some kicks and punts. It's almost like I feel like the Dolphins have too many guys now who are return specialists because A-Chain did that at Texas A&M. Braxton Berrios, who was signed a month or two back, he's one of the more steady returners in the NFL. Like you've got like an embarrassment of riches of guys who can return kicks and punts now. But A-Chain makes this Dolphins offense even faster and even more explosive. And yeah, Gabe, I would not mind landing Dalvin Cook as well. Can you imagine if you could throw Dalvin Cook into that mix? Cook, Mostert, Wilson, A-Chain, Dolphins backfield would be freaking ridiculous. Jumbo says, I didn't like the cornerback pick in round 2. He's a good player. Cam Smith, he's a really good player. And I think you hit the nail on the head that Xavier Howard is going to be super expensive to keep beyond next year. So, yeah, you probably playing the 4D chess, you probably drafted his replacement, I think is what they were thinking there. All right, my friends, I'm going to run. We'll probably be back later this week. I'm going to be doing a couple of maybe tomorrow we'll be back on 5 Reasons because I've been called into action on Thursday and Friday. I'm going to be co-hosting with Mark Hochman on Hawk and Crowder on WQAM from 2 to 6. I think Crowder's got something going on this week. I don't know if it's pivot related or if he's taking a vacation. It would be an awful time to take a vacation with everything going on, unless he scheduled his trips thinking the Heat and Panthers are cooked in the first round. I might as well schedule a vacation this week. I'm guessing it's probably work-related because Crowder never stops working. He's probably hosting the pivot later this week, but I'm going to be on with Hawk 2 to 6 p.m. on Thursday and Friday this week. Going to try to come back to you guys on 5 Reasons Sports tomorrow. So make sure you smash that like button, 5 Reasons Sports YouTube, subscribe to our channel. If you guys want to check out my daily Miami Hurricanes content as well, I host the Locked On Canes show. I'm super into it, of course, following the transfer portal, recruiting. The offseason doesn't really slow down a whole lot for me. So if you want to check out Locked On Canes, you can find me there on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, make sure you guys support everything going on here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network and 5 Reasons Sports YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of the Donno Drop here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.